Spelling rules. The affix system elaborates bases by combining them with affixes in order to, among other things, refine or extend the base's meaning, change its grammatical type, or conform it to a grammatical register. Most affixes are simply tacked onto the base. However, the combination of br and mung with bases that start with certain consonants do not sound right to the Indonesian ear. This problem is fixed by compromise. The spelling at the junction is modified in a way that reduces the dissonance, but retains as much of the original pronunciation of the prefix and the base as possible. Relatedly, affixation sometimes also results in syllable changes, as described in the presentation about words. The br spelling rules are the easy one. Here they are. Use b instead of br when the base starts with r or C-E-R-C, where C is a consonant. Example 1a, renang, swimming, becomes berenang, to swim. The C-E-R-C example 1b, serta, and, becomes beserta, along with. And there are three quirks. A small number of bases optionally combine with br or br-c. Example 2, keras, hard, could be br keras or br-c keras. A small number of bases can optionally combine with tur or tu. For example, percaya, to believe something, could be tur percaya or tu percaya, trustworthy. Ajar combines with bel instead of br to give belajar, study. The br spelling rules also apply to ter verbs and nouns with the prefix per. But the spelling rules are the only thing in common between br verbs and ter verbs. Br combines with bases to make intransitive verbs, whereas ter replaces d to make passive verbs in contexts where the action by the agent is not intentional. By contrast, per makes nouns from br verbs. The Meng spelling rules are the hard one. Here they are. When the first letter of the base is L, M, N, and so on, they combine with M. So let's take example 1. Meng plus makan. So makan combines with m makan, to eat something. When the first letter of the base is G, it combines with mung. Example 2, mung plus ganggu becomes mung ganggu, to annoy someone. If the first letter is a K, the K is replaced by mung. Example 3, mung plus karang becomes manyarang, to compose something. How about a B? It combines with mum. So mung plus bahas becomes mum bahas, to discuss something. How about a P? Here, the P is replaced by mum. Example 5, mung plus pukul becomes mamukul, hit something. S similarly is replaced by mnya. Example 6, mung plus sapu becomes mnyapu, to sweep something. D combines with mun. Example 7, mung plus dorong becomes mendorong, to push something. T, here the T is clipped off. It's replaced by mun. So mung plus tulis, in example 8, is manulis. In addition, the second base of Meng verbs with duplicated bases conforms to the first base. For example, manulis nulis, to write this and that, instead of manulis tulis. And mangyatuk nyatuk, to thrum one's figures, instead of manyatuk katuk. The last three rows of the table on the previous slide describe exceptions to the general Meng spelling rules for certain foreign loanwords. These exceptions function to produce affix derivatives that retain the loanword's foreign-sounding features. Here they are. So when the first letter of the loanword base is an S, it combines with mun instead of manye replacing the S. So in example 1a, you have sosialasi, and it becomes mun sosialasi kan instead of manyosilasi kan to socialize someone. If the loanword base starts with a consonant cluster, it may be mung, mum, or mun, depending what the first letter is. So for example, example 2, mung classificasi, that would normally combine with a mung, and the K would be kicked out. But here it combines with mung as normal, but you keep the K to retain the sound. So you get mung classificasi instead of mung classificasi to classify something. Here's another one. So here we have P praktik. Normally it would combine with mum and the P would get lopped off, but here you keep the P. So you get mum praktikan instead of mum praktikan to practice something. And there's mun. So example 4, traktir would normally combine with an N, and the N would replace the T, but here you keep the T to retain the sound mun turaktir instead of munraktir to treat somebody. And if the loanword is a single syllable base, the only single syllable bases are loanwords, then in example 5a, like bomb, a bomb, you use mungnya. Example 5a, munya bomb instead of mum bomb, which is the normal thing you do with a B. Many foreign loanwords that start with S retain it by using mun instead of the regular munya, like we just discussed. But others have already been nativized. So in example 1b, symbol is not mun symbol, but it's already turned into munyimbolkan to symbolize something. Initial consonant clusters that start with ka, pe, st, that's the ones that are normally lopped off. Those consonants are retained by ignoring that rule that the letters are omitted when the base is combined with its corresponding Meng variant. Example 1a, you keep the S to give men sosialasikan instead of munyosilasikan. Example 2, 3, and 4, you go from classificasi to Meng classificasi instead of dropping the K. Example 3, you don't drop the P, you keep it, mum praktikan. Example 4, same thing. You keep the T, but you use the Meng form that you would normally use with a T. In example 4, for traktir, you combine it with the regular MEN, but you keep the T to give mun traktir instead of mun praktir. The only single syllable bases in Indonesian are foreign loanwords. It seems that they do not sound right to the Indonesian ear when they're combined with Meng, because Indonesian uses mengge instead of Meng for some reason, in order to add a supplemental syllable. So we've seen example 5a, bomb becomes munya bomb instead of mumbomb. By contrast, br is used normally with single syllable foreign loanwords. Example 5b, hak, a right, becomes berhak, a right. The Meng spelling rules also apply to pung nouns, which are derived from Meng verbs, and are closely related to the ng spelling rules that are used in the ng register. Practice tip. The Meng spelling rules take a while to get used to, but are less daunting and more intuitive than they seem at first glance. Because affixed words are more common than bases, the Meng spelling rules are probably best learned by ad hoc reverse engineering of affixed words. Accordingly, The learner should work hard on internalizing the Meng spelling words by identifying Meng derivatives that show up in their applied studies and mapping them to the tables above. Take-home lessons. Most of the complexity of Indonesian grammar lies in the affix system. Mastering its basics is essential. The affix system is organized around a triage that generates verbs from the bases that are fed into it. The verbs are then further processed to generate nominalized counterparts and variants for use in other grammatical registers. The triage makes verbs in the Meng register. Other grammatical registers are derived from the Meng register. The key verb-related affixes that are used in the triage are ber for intransitive verbs, meng, mengkan, meng-i for transitive verbs. Meng is used where the transitive verb has a direct object that does not remain static. Mengkan is used for transitive verbs where the direct object does not remain static, and they often have extended meanings. Meng-i is used for transitive verbs where the direct object remains static. Di and ter are passive verbs. Di is where there's agency. The agent's action is intentional. Ter is accidental action, where the agent does not intentionally act on the subject. Many ber verbs function like adjectives. These are the stative verbs. So, example 1, berkulit sisik, scaly skinned. Mengkan makes ditransitive verbs and causative verbs. Example 2a, saya mengambilkan komodo itu sepotong daging. So it has an indirect object, komodo itu, and a direct object, sepotong daging. I brought the Komodo dragon a piece of meat. Example 2b, bau mulut busuk komodo, membangunkan kami. That's a causative verb. The stench of the Komodo dragon's rotting breath woke us up. Mengkan also combines with the motive adjectives to make adjectives that express adjective making, or ing. In example 2c, Komodo sangat menakutkan. Komodo dragons are really scary. Komodo dragons are really scary making. Memper makes causative verbs. Example 3, memperbesar means to make something larger, or to make something large even larger. Timmy Jean Lindsay adalah orang pertama yang diperbesar payudara. TJ was the first person to have her breasts enlarged. Affixation sometimes results in pronunciation changes and concomitant spelling changes that are dictated by the ber spelling rules and Meng spelling rules. Relatedly, affixation sometimes also results in syllable changes, as described in the presentation about words. Here's the outro joke. Grammar. This series of video presentations includes original material that illustrates key concepts in Indonesian grammar. The following scene includes dialogue that is composed of model sentences based on this presentation.